What's up people, it's Wasabi and I'm back with another review. And today we have the HTS Ultra 8K by G-Wolves, and this was sent to me by G-Wolves to share with you guys. But as always with the content on this channel, these are my thoughts, personal opinions, and experiences with the product. Now hold on a second, if you have trypophobia, you might want to skip this mouse and my video entirely because it is a bit of a nightmare. But before you go, do me a favor and hit the like and subscribe button, and I'll catch you in the next one. If you're not quite sure what trypophobia is, I guess just keep watching my video, and if you feel squeamish looking at it, then yeah. If you're still here, hey, here's a quick look at the packaging because that's what you pay for too. So what you get is a full set of grip tapes, and this has some universal cutouts as well, a quick start guide, a piece of plastic, 2 stickers to seal the bottom of your mouse. I prefer to do without them, 0.1 and 0.15 double-sided tape to use with your skates, and this is to physically adjust the lift-off distance on top of what you can do within the software. Full set of dot skates and 2 sets of white skates. Then you got the hard case, which G-Wolves have been using for their newer mice. Inside you have a USB-C cable, very nice and bendy, an 8K polling rate receiver, strap for the hard case, an additional USB-C cable, this one is a lot stiffer, another strap for the hard case, and finally you got the mouse itself. And that is a lot that's included inside the box. Now before we go any further, let's manage some expectations here real quick. Today we are looking at G-Wolves mouse, and there is no doubt that G-Wolves does not have a good reputation to its name, and I will address that later in the video, but for now let's just focus on the product. So there are 3 editions of this mouse. First is the standard edition that weighs 32.9 grams and is priced at about $120. Then you got the deluxe edition, which is the one we are looking at today, and it weighs 29.5 grams and is priced at about $150. And finally you have the deluxe edition transparent colorways, which weighs 30.5 grams and goes for about $160. The design of this mouse, well, it definitely stands out. I wouldn't say that it looks good, but it's not without purpose. The countless holes are there to shave off the weight, and I can respect that. What I do appreciate is the attention to detail. G-Wolves even went out of their way to cover up the cable and battery, so when you peek inside, it looks clean and tidy, and it's a very nice touch. On the sides, you got these dimpled indentations that G-Wolves claims to improve comfort. Personally, I think flat surfaces feel way better. They also say it helps the molding clay to stick better, which by the way comes with the deluxe edition. Speaking of the deluxe edition, this is the black and red colorway. You get this red scroll wheel and red side buttons. Now flipping it over, you got these massive cutouts exposing the most naked sensor I've ever seen in my life. And you can see the blue G-Wolves PCB and just the power switch. Build quality, despite being so lightweight, this mouse feels surprisingly sturdy. It's made entirely of plastic, no fancy materials here to cut down on the weight. Most of the weight reduction comes from the aggressive cutouts and the holes in the body, but even with all that, the build feels way more solid than you expect. There is slight wobble on the main buttons, but the scroll wheel is snugly fitted and the side buttons have 0 wobble, which is very nice. So for something this light and bare bones, I'd say it feels pretty well put together. Now if you really dig your thumb into the back, it does flex a bit, but with normal use you'd never notice it. There's no flexing or creaking when you squeeze the sides like a human being, and even if you shake it like you're trying to make a maraca, you should not hear any rattles. I don't think many people would do that. It would be funny to see though. The stated weight on the website is 29.5 grams, and on my unit with the default dot skates, it weighs in at 31 grams rounded up. Now before I get into more detail with the shape and how it feels from my experience, to put things into perspective, my hand size is 17.5 by 9. Now this is not a new shape, the first HTS has been out for quite some time already, but this is the first time that this shape has truly made love to the ultra lightweight trend. And it is a shape that even though it looks small, it feels wholesome like holding onto a regular sized mouse. The mouse buttons aren't completely flat, they've got the grooves to them, and it feels nice when my fingers are extended up to the edge. I really wish they made the texture flat though. It's different, sure, but I would have much preferred a flatter texture. I get that they're trying to keep it as lightweight as possible, but a bit of compromise there would have gone a long way. Now the front of the mouse sits at a mid height and the top flares out quite a bit. I find it most comfortable to position my ring and pinky fingers just a thumb's width away from the edge. But if you're someone who places your ring finger up to the edge, it's not uncomfortable. I sometimes extend my finger up to that point when I use a palm grip, and the curved edge doesn't make it feel out of place. The sides of the mouse curve inwards, not overly so, but just enough to give you a nice comfortable pinch grip on the mouse. For my hand size, there's not much space between the thumb and the side buttons, so if your hands are bigger than mine, you probably have a bit of thumb contact with the side buttons at all times. That said, the side buttons are positioned perfectly for my hand size. I don't have to stretch my thumb forward, it naturally rests where I can easily roll it over the front and rear side buttons, which I really like. Now the hips, this is easily one of the best feeling backends of a mouse I've felt in a long time. The hips feel sort of muscular, they support the wraparound of my thumb perfectly, giving me a nice locked in feel. The mouse has a mid hump, and for something this small, it's actually pretty high. But honestly, that's the one thing that I felt was missing from a lot of small mice, which is proper hump support. This hump fills up my palm really nicely, giving me just enough contact to comfortably use a palm grip on something this compact. And that's a huge win for my grip style preferences, which are the relaxed claw grip and the palm grip. And despite the chunky form factor, it doesn't feel wide in my hand at all. Overall, the HTS is really an awesome shape, and I just find it so enjoyable to use. It is a small mouse, but it feels like it has more support in places where you least expect for a mouse of this size. Also, the curves are not overly aggressive, which makes it surprisingly comfortable to use for long sessions without my hand cramping up. But of course, this experience is based on my hand size, so your experience may vary. It's a stubby feeling muscular mouse, that's how it comes off to me. The coating, or really the lack of a coating, combined with the holes and dimpled indentations, is honestly pretty bad when it comes to the grip. As soon as my hands sweat a little, it gets slippery fast, and I find myself needing to wipe it down after just one match. If you want a solid grip on the G-Wolves mouse, I strongly recommend using the included grip tapes, but it's a bit of a shame because the mouse doesn't look great with the grip tapes on, and I just wish they'd finally put a proper grippy coating on their mice. Most things about this mouse are fantastic, but the lack of a proper coating really kills it for me. Something you should keep in mind is that with grip tapes, if you keep it on any mouse for too long, it will stay stuck to the material. And if it gets stuck onto a design like this, it's going to be an absolute nightmare to get out, trust me. The HTS Ultra 8K comes with pure PTFE dot skates, which glide really well on cloth pads. However, on glass pads, they're not the smoothest. For that, I'd suggest getting aftermarket skates designed for glass surfaces. And a heads up, the screw cutouts at the back can scrape your mousepad fabric, especially on soft or extra soft pads when pressure is applied. The solution you have is in the box, just use the white skates that the mouse comes with. They feel great on soft pads with smooth and consistent glides. Alternatively, you can try rearranging dot skates to cover up the screw openings, but then your dots will be more prone to falling off. Also, if you remove the default dot skates, make sure to get rid of all the sticky residue before applying new ones. From my experience, it can be tough to clean off by hand, and they do not include alcohol swabs, so be patient. Now this part is to help people visualize the different grip styles on the HTS Ultra 8K with reference to my hand size. For my hand size of 17.5 by 9, I can comfortably use all claw grip styles except for the aggressive claw grip. Relaxed claw and regular claw feel especially good on this mouse. With a relaxed claw grip, my fingers are pretty much up to the edge of the mouse buttons, so if you have longer fingers, you may be limited to a regular claw grip due to the length of the mouse. And for the aggressive claw grip, it feels way too high when I place my fingers further back on the mouse buttons. After all, this mouse is pretty high for its size. The palm grip style is very nice, it's comfortable, but my middle finger does extend a little over the edge. Not too much, so I still use a palm grip on this mouse from time to time. For the fingertip grip style, this would probably be better for larger hand sizes than mine. It's a chunky little mouse, and while the hump and back doesn't bump into my palm or the corners of my hand, the height makes it feel like you're pinching onto a bulbous shape, and something of a shorter height would give you a better sense of control over the mouse with this grip style in my opinion. So to me, the fingertip grip style on this mouse is doable for sure, but not optimal, especially if you compare it to the other mice that G-Wolves has. The HTS Ultra 8K has Huano transparent blue shell pink dot mechanical switches. Same switches with whichever edition you choose, and it feels really good. To me, G-Wolves mice mostly have a very nice mechanical switch experience, usually quite stiff, but the click experience on this HTS Ultra 8K we are looking at is a very nice balance of tactility, not being overly crispy, and feels rather light to press. Much lighter than the HTS2 8K that I have for sure. I do enjoy the clicks on this mouse. I think it's a rather raw, unfiltered experience with the sound and feedback, which is fitting for a mouse like this, and there is barely any pre or post travel for both buttons. On my crispy meter with the way it sounds and feels, I will put them right about here. Side buttons for this mouse feel just fine. Both the front and back buttons have little to no pre-travel, but you get a little post-travel to the front side button and a little more for the one in the back. These are on the stiffer side and they need a bit more pressure to click on, but again, with how close my thumb was to the side buttons as I mentioned earlier, this would help prevent accidental clicks during a game. I think this is one of the most comfortable scroll wheel experiences I've had on the G-Wolves mouse. The rubber texture is nice and grippy, scrolling is not too light, and the notches are distinct enough to count through the steps, and the scroll clicks are soft and light to press. With this combination, I do not find myself accidentally scrolling while trying to click on the wheel, though I must say that a bit more resistance between notches would be a nice touch that would be fitting for a mouse that feels this tight. And now here's a quick sound test to give you a better idea of how this mouse sounds. This has the POR 3950 sensor, which is the latest that most brands are able to get their hands on from Pixart. And so as usual for this sensor, you got the option to use a lift-off distance as low as 0.7mm, and you can set your DPI all the way up to 30,000. I mean, you probably won't use 30,000, you know, but take it as a measure of how much a sensor can do. The sensor is positioned further up towards the front, and when you use this mouse for the first time, you'll likely notice that it feels much faster and more sensitive. For a mouse with this size and weight, having the sensor positioned further forward feels really good. It makes the mouse feel like a pointer, very nimble and snappy. Honestly, I'd say it's a very good sensor position for its size, and it just makes the mouse really fun to flick. G-Wolves' newer releases use a web-based software and it works well enough. It doesn't lack on the features for sure. You got mouse button remapping, debounce time adjustability, polling rate adjustment from 125 to 8000 Hz, lift-off distance setting of 0.7, 1 and 2mm represented by low, medium and high. You can adjust the sleep time and the sensor angle as well. And if you extend the tab, you can find the option for angle snapping, motion sync and scroll wheel debounce. And of course, you got a DPI slider on the bottom. For the angle rotation, it will not work with the firmware that it's loaded with. You can only use it with a new firmware update that they've been working on. And for now, there is yet to be an official release on their website. You can only find it on their Twitter page, which I think is very odd, but I will leave a link to it in the description below. The battery life for this deluxe edition, which has the 250mAh battery, is 80 hours after a firmware update. The update is said to reduce power consumption by 30%. This is great to hear, but even so, do not expect super long battery life from the mouse if you plan to use this with polling rates above 1000 Hz. The mouse supports wireless connectivity with polling rates ranging from 125 to 8000 Hz with the 8K wireless receiver that is standard for all versions of this release. You also have the option to use the mouse wired and set it to 1000 Hz polling rate if you prefer that setup. I haven't experienced stuttering or drops with the wireless connection. My unit has been working perfectly well even at 8000 Hz polling rate. My experience with the HTS Ultra 8K, I've had a really fun time using it. It's been working perfectly well, and with its shape, weight and forward sensor position, it feels raw and snappy. I think the shape strikes a brilliant balance for anyone looking for solid hump support and comfort, especially for claw grip users on a small mouse. That said, the texture of the mouse buttons and sidewalls isn't something I really enjoy. Honestly, it's enough to make me want to set the mouse aside and grab something without that texture. So if you're considering this as your one and only mouse, that's definitely something to keep in mind. If you are interested in this mouse, I gotta say that to me, the standard edition price at $120 is the most attractive option. The main difference between the standard and this deluxe edition that I have is mainly about the weight, and it's only about 3 grams on paper due to the battery size. I'm not someone who chases showcases the lightest weight. Honestly, 32.9 grams for the standard version is way lighter than what I enjoy, and I think the full black colorway of the standard version looks way cooler. The standard edition is what I wanted to show you guys, but they sent me this one instead. Not complaining though. Now, this video is how I feel about the mouse. The G-Wolves brand has a mixed reputation for customer service and quality control, which honestly made me completely avoid their products before my existence here on YouTube. But after using their newer mice, you know, you never know if you never try. Newer mice like the HTR8K, the HTS2, and this one, I have had no issues. They've been performing great. So while I cannot speak much about the service, I recommend further researching on the experiences of their customers, both past and recent, and checking their Twitter for updates. And if you're not comfortable, trust your gut feeling. And as good as the product is, I will say their communication and brand reputation definitely need work if they are looking to grow any further. Also, English is not their first language, but actions speak louder than words, yeah? But that is for them to work out. So G-Wolves also offers a 10% off with affiliate codes. You can probably find one online or ask them on Twitter. They never give me a code, but even so, I think it's more important for you to know about the product. And if you can save some money, even if it does not support me directly, I think that's okay, as long as you guys get the benefit. Now, final thoughts and what do I think of its value? The HTS Ultra 8K is a good mouse, but probably won't appeal to everyone, as most gamers just want a solid and comfortable mouse for all they use. But that said, the shape, weight, and forward sensor position feel great together. I'm not a fan of the design, it's definitely more exotic, but I respect that it has its purpose. G-Wolves makes niche products for enthusiasts, so it doesn't feel right to criticize the lack of basic comforts or the extreme design choices like the holes. And really, it is things like these that set them apart from mainstream brands. So if you're looking for something different, I think this mouse or any of their newer models are worth taking a look. Anyway, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video or found it helpful in any way, please leave a like and subscribe to support my channel. And I guess I'll see you in the next one.